Our
expensive.
expectations are not that high
They're
anymore.
not.
We're like, they had good soap and sheets.
They did. Yep.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. We are Shelley and Beth, a married couple living in Portugal and traveling the world. These are our stories. Bom dia, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Beth.
And we're Wandering Works for Us. And this past week, we wandered up to central Portugal in the mountains of Lousã.
Yes, we did.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
We wanted to go up there and visit the Schist villages, or a few of them, of Portugal.
That's spelled Schist, Schist.
Or, in Portuguese, it's Xisto, Xisto.
That's right.
What is a Schist village?
It is a village that has houses built of shale. It's schist rock, but that is like shale or what's the slate kind of thing. They are beautiful.
They are. And it's, rock that's basically found in the mountainside, and they've built these villages up in the mountains. And you would wonder, how is it different than the other houses you see here in Portugal? Well, the majority of the villages here in Portugal are made out of concrete and cinder block and concrete and these beautiful clay, roofs. And then you head up into these villages and they're made completely of stone and rock, although they do have the clay roofs on top. And they're just, it's like you're walking into a fairy tale.
Yeah, they're dark gray and it is very fairy tale-like.
And very, very old.
Mm-hmm. They were built in the
12th
and 13th centuries. I keep getting that wrong. The 12th and 13th centuries. And people actually did live there. First, they were just seasonal houses. But then toward the end of the 17th century, there were permanent residents for a very long time, centuries.
Until, there were no jobs really up in the mountains during the late 20th century. So people started leaving. And then the government of Portugal decided, we need to preserve this. This is part of our culture and our heritage, and we need to preserve it. And so therefore, they got together with the EU, formed a whole
organization.
Thank you.
To save these. And I don't know if we've said there are 27 of these villages in the mountains.
Yeah, there are 27 in Portugal, kind of sort of spread out over the mountain range. Where we were, there were 12.
Yes.
We saw 4.
Yes.
So we stayed in a little village called Gondramaz. And Beth found this online. I was like, sure, vacation, let's go. Where are we going? Didn't have any idea what the heck we were doing.
So Gondramaz is a schist village. And it now is either vacation homes or rentals for people to rent. And then there's 2 small, they called them hotels, but they're more in American language anyway, like an inn. And like ours had
resort kind of thing.
Yeah, like ours had 7 houses plus the office, bar, pool,
reception area
thing, looking out over the mountains, which was beautiful.
Yes.
Well, I should say in our village there are 2 or 3 permanent inhabitants, and that's the case in several of these.
So Gondramaz is located at the top of a mountain just outside of Miranda do Corvo. It is the closest city or closest town to Gondramaz. And it took us, we went the back roads. We like to go the back roads, to get to somewhere and then take the toll roads back home because it's quicker. So it took us a little over 2 hours, I'd say, to get up there. We relaxed through the day and stopped and had lunch and, all of that. But it's technically about 45 minutes outside of Coimbra. So if you wanted to take a day trip, it would be a long day trip and you would need to have a car to drive out there. But it is doable if you have a car.
Yeah. And when we took the toll roads back, it was an hour and a half.
An hour and a half from where we are. And we're in Peniche. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And it was beautiful, but, it was in the Portuguese mountains. We hadn't experienced yet, really. And we were looking forward to going up there because, we kind of missed our own mountains in North Carolina.
Yeah. And we got windy switchback roads to drive on.
Yay. You can tell I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah, it was great. Now, fun fact, almost weird fact to us, is the weather in the Portuguese mountains is much hotter than the weather where we are closer to the beaches. And also it gets much colder in the winter. It actually does snow in some of the areas. So they have a much larger temperature fluctuation, and it is quite hot in the summer.
Yes. And we were up here in late May, and it was already in the 80s one day, which was glorious.
And I thought it was a little too hot.
And then we came back to Peniche, and it was cold.
It was perfect.
It was not. But we really did enjoy our trip up there.
We did.
Yes.
You were definitely out in nature.
Yes.
There are deer up there, several kinds of deer, which we didn't see any, but there are. There are wild boar, which evidently you can find roaming in the villages, which we didn't see either. I think I might be glad about that.
We were out there in the middle of the day. I don't think they were going to show up.
Yeah, and then there are lots of chestnut trees and cork oaks and, of course, pines around. And a lot of the local crafts and dishes and things like that have to do with chestnut trees and cork. Things, of
and
course.
And wild boar.
Yeah, and wild boar, which, of course, is when you lived up there in the, 17th century. It's not like you popped down to the mountain in your car and got groceries.
No, you had to grow your own things or bring them up there, yeah.
And then there's almost always a church in these villages, and there was a lovely little church in Gondramaz where we stayed.
Yeah, so while we were up there, we saw 4 of these villages. We stayed in Gondramaz. We saw Talasnal. We saw Casal Novo. And we saw Chiqueiro.
Oh, very good.
Gondramaz, like we said, was more like a resort area. Many of the houses have been redone, and they're now either Airbnbs or part of the hotel. There's no restaurant in town. There's no cafe in town. As a matter of fact, we even asked our hotel concierge, if you can call him that. He was a guy that checked us in. We said, well, where do you eat? And he said, well, we don't recommend the restaurant in town because we don't know when it's going to be open. So I think the restaurant might open for festivals or maybe on the weekends because a lot of these places are now busy on the weekends. We were there during the week and it was deserted.
Yes.
And also in Gondramaz, we said, well, there might be 3 or 4 permanent residents up there in the village. Mm-hmm. We saw 1 and, of course, some workers.
Yes.
But no one else. Everybody else that we saw were either checking into the hotel we were checking into or they were up there taking pictures of the village. So it was very quiet.
You could go up there for a week, take your own groceries because everything pretty much has a kitchen that you rent, and not leave and almost not see another person.
It's pretty true, yes.
Yeah, and just be there in the peace and quiet. And the birds were singing and the water was flowing and it was
beautiful.
It was so peaceful. It was very, very peaceful.
But we got up the next morning and had our free breakfast at the Mountain Whisperer.
Yeah.
Because that's the place we were staying at, and they offered free breakfast.
And you'll link when you do a blog post on this to the Mountain Whisperer. I will link
the blog post, and I will go ahead and link it in the show notes, too.
Yeah, because it was a really good place to stay. It was very plush. It was really
fancy.
It was fancy. It was really great bed linens and nice soap in the bathroom, that kind of thing. But yet was not expensive.
Our expectations are not that high anymore. They had good soap and sheets.
They did. Yep. That's us. It's the simple things for us now.
Yeah, it's the simple things. But it really was a lovely place. And you walk down in the morning and have your breakfast. And then you can walk down. They close at 6 in the afternoon. You can't check in later than 6 in the afternoon. But they do have a bar that you can go in and get coffee or wine or a beverage of some sort. And that was really nice. They have a pool.
They do.
Because it gets freaking hot up there. But yeah, it was a really nice place.
It was. I would recommend it and stay there again.
Yeah. So after breakfast, we headed out on our adventure. We had to go back down the mountain on the switchbacks. Beth drove. I tried not to scream. I tried.
Beth was very happy, except she wished that she had been in her old Mini Cooper. It would have been more fun.
Taking those curves.
But it was fun.
And we went to our first one, which was Casal Novo. It took us about, 30 minutes to get there from where we were?
Yeah. As the crow flies, it's not far, but
no, like 6 kilometers.
Yeah, but you have to go down the mountain,
around
through a town, and back up a mountain.
And you have to be careful because Google Maps will take you down a dirt road that you don't want to go down. Yeah. And it started to do that at first. It took us up a mountain
twice.
Yep, and we got to the dirt road, and I said, "Nope, we are not doing this. You turn the car around." Yeah.
And
after we took
to
pictures.
be clear, if Shelley hadn't been with me, I would have gone down the dirt road, but. But it was fun to do it the other way too, I'll say.
Casal Novo was a small village that you go straight down the stairs. I mean, once you park they have little tiny parking lots at the top of the village on the road.
Yeah, there's no cars in the village.
No, you can't get a car down any of those. And most of the roads, or if you call it a road in the village, are stairs. Now, they did have one wide enough for a work truck to get through in Gondramaz, but that ain't happening in Casal Novo.
No, it was not.
It was stairs, and you had to walk down them. And we saw 2 people. They were working on the houses that were there, and that was it.
Right.
It was being reconstructed. You could see there was a lot of reconstructed houses. For the most part, there was nothing else going on. No restaurant, no cafe, no place to buy souvenirs, because on Google Maps, when you're looking at these places, they say tourist attraction.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking, well, okay, there'll be a store or something. There are no stores. Nothing.
Although what we understand is we were there on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What we understand is on the weekends in good weather, these really have more people in them. People come for the weekends. There's a lot of mountain bikers, a lot of road cyclists, that kind of thing, hikers. And so there's a lot more happening on the weekends. And I think maybe like at Casal Novo, remember when we went down the stairs, there was that little place right there. It's almost like you could check in there or something. There was a sign. You didn't notice that, did you? No. They were not open, but maybe they are on the weekends and maybe they are during the summer months. I'm not sure. We
might have missed something because we were there during the middle of the week, or the beginning of the week rather, because in Portugal a lot of things are closed on Mondays.
Yes, they are. A
Mondays,
lot of things
they're closed. And so when we finished hiking back up the stairs of Casal Novo and got in the car, we went down the road a little bit further to Talasnal. We went down the road to Talasnal.
Talasnal. Yeah, which is the place where if you're on a tour and someone's taking you and you go to see, quote, a Schist village, probably that's where you're going. It is one of the larger ones. It's one of the easier ones to get to. They have obviously a lot of tourists because they have a big parking lot, and there was a restaurant open, there was a cafe open, which also sold gifts and things. And then there's another restaurant that this time of year is only open on the weekends, or we would have eaten there, called Leanne. And it is evidently quite good. And that village is now all either inns that own several houses or individual houses that are like on Airbnb or for rent in some way. And usually the ones we think that are on Airbnb or that you can rent through another way are probably family houses that people have inherited, and they come up some too, and the rest of the time they rent it out.
Yeah, because the villages are beautiful.
Oh, it's
just
incredible.
Way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but if you like to hike if you like to trail run, if you like to whitewater canoe or kayak, biking, both road, can you say mountains, or mountain biking on trails, even rock climbing, any of those things have support systems up there to do all of those activities. This organization that is responsible for rebuilding these and attracting people to them, saving them, is quite robust. They have a lot of programs. And you should link the website we found that tells all about them.
Yeah.
So people can check it out.
Because there's a lot more going on up there than we knew about.
Yeah.
And now we need to go back.
We do. And I found out by looking at this website after we got back that they also have a dark sky certification, which means the stargazing is incredible.
Yeah, we were too tired to look at the stars.
We were
exhausted.
We had done a lot, but next time I would like to take the time to do that.
The last village that we went to was Chiqueiro, and it was on one of the Lousã mountains, and it was at the very end of a road after we had gone to Talasnal. We would have guessed if there hadn't been a car parked outside that it was deserted completely.
That it was abandoned.
Yes.
Yeah. It was not nicely redone. It was, obviously they haven't gotten to that one yet.
No, I think there might have been one house that looked like they were doing some work on it. And you could kind of tell by looking at the windows what kind of state of disrepair it was in.
Yeah.
If it had nice shutters on it that were propped open, you knew somebody might have been living there. But otherwise, most of them looked pretty abandoned.
But come to find out, there's a couple that does live there with all of their livestock, and we actually caught a glimpse of them when we were leaving, because we heard voices and they were planting one of the fields for the summer. But it was the kind of place where I would not have been surprised if, a big old rooster had come out of one of those buildings and come running at me, kind of thing. But I think I was reading about these villages in this particular area, because as we said, there's 27 of them. They're divided into 4 areas, sort of geographically. And evidently the ones where we went and a couple of others, the church that is in Chiqueiro, thank you, that church is the one that had the priest for a lot of the time that they were inhabited. So we're talking about 17th, 18th century kind of thing.
Yeah.
The priest lived in this village. So I would guess that the village is fairly important because of the church. It's evidently bigger and was...
I said that church was any bigger than the one in Gondramaz.
I wouldn't either, but we didn't get to go in it, so...
No, they blocked them off from us.
Yeah, yes. But we could see in the windows.
Yeah. We arrived Monday night.
Mm-hmm. We should talk about our dinner we had.
Yes, well, we arrived on Monday night in Gondramaz and got checked in and had a nice glass of wine. And, of course, asked about the restaurant. And they said no. So we went down to Miranda do Corvo. And Beth found a nice restaurant to go eat. We were one of 2, maybe 3 people in the whole restaurant.
We were.
We had to use our Portuguese because English was kind of limited where we were. But Beth had the chafana.
Yes, I did. It's a traditional dish specifically from that area, and it translates to, hold on to your hat, old goat stew.
Old goat. Eating grandma tonight, kid.
Yeah, but that being said, it was very tender. It was not old and chewy.
So good.
And it was so good. When they brought it out of the kitchen, we went, oh, the smell of the stew was incredible. It was really great. So I would definitely eat that again.
Chafana. Definitely.
There's also a big push with this organization doing food-related things, trying to preserve the old recipes, doing these events where they invite chefs in to cook with the local flavors, and you can book a table. That'd be fun to do that sometime. And those sorts of things in that area.
One of the things we did miss out on, though, were the river beaches.
Yes, we have got to. Well, they're all over Portugal, but I would like to go back to some of those.
Yeah, apparently when we started posting on social media about being where we were, several people recommended we go visit these river beaches. And I don't think we knew how close we were to any rivers. I mean, we knew there were some waterfalls here and there, but we didn't think much about, going down and enjoying sitting by the river and hanging out. But apparently, like Beth said before, if you love outdoor sports, this is a great place to go, is in central Portugal, because you can even whitewater kayak there. But it just sounded great to be able to sit by the river.
Yeah. Well, this trip is more about sort of learning about it and seeing some of the villages and that kind of thing. Next trip, it'll be more about sitting by the river.
Yeah, and our friend Mafalda, she even said, you need to go to this particular city. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one it is.
Yes.
And you need to check out the central Portugal. There's a great beach there, too,
Yeah.
you should try. So
we're going to do that.
Next time, we're doing some river beaches. Of course, we're going to wait till it cools off a little bit, because I don't want to, go in 96-degree weather. But
that'd be the time to be at the beach, though.
It would, but not the river beach, because it'd be too hot.
Yeah. Maybe we can
Maybe
do
we'll
it.
stay at this beach and then go in the fall.
There we go.
Well, is there anything else we can say about these beautiful schist villages that we visited?
I guess if I had to tell somebody about it, I would say that it is one of the most beautiful places that I have been in Portugal. Very different from the cathedrals and the monasteries and, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, all the villages over here on the Silver Coast.
Yeah,
or
very,
even,
very
the
different.
Algarve. This was a very different place.
Dark gray slate in the mountains with, moss growing on the edges of the paths and that kind of thing. It was very different, and it was only an hour and a half from us. So
yes.
I'm really glad we did it.
So I think we should take some day trips up there.
Yeah.
Next time, too. All right. Well, is that it for this week?
I think it is.
Yay! Well, we got a list. We came back with a whole list of things that we needed to talk to you guys about in our podcasts.
Yes.
So perhaps next week we should talk about the monastery that we visited on the way home.
Maybe we should.
Batalha Monastery.
It was
amazing.
Yeah, quite the contrast to the dark gray schist villages with moss growing beside them.
We're either going to do that or talk to you about oil tasting.
Olive oil tasting.
Olive oil tasting.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That was fun too.
Yeah. So we got lots to talk to you about. So thank you so much for listening, all of our people. Please subscribe. Please share with your friends. And, keep those comments coming and let us know how well we're doing or how crappy we're doing, whichever way it goes.
That's right.
And if there's anything you think we should talk about or go see, please give us suggestions.
Yes.
We live here now. We want to see everything.
We do.
On that note, I guess I would bid you a polite boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you would like to reach out to us or ask questions, you can find us on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can also follow us at our website, www.forus.com. That's www.forus.com. Hope to hear from you soon. Obrigada!